Chris Tucker to a show. Ted Turner to a hoe. Robert digs the beat but ain't feeling the flow. But he signed it fast for half of Johnny's cash. Nia longed for the album to drop, cameras flashed. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast. I'm Guy Pigden.
And I am Harley Neville. Beautiful lyrics. Profound.
Wordplay.
I like the part about wordplay, yes. Who was that?
That is the Jizzer, the genius.
The Jizzers. The
Jizzer, the genius, part of Wu-Tang Clan. That's one of his favorite things. Is he on each of his albums? I think that's from Legend of the Liquid Swords. He does one sort of thing where he basically just does a whole bunch of wordplay relating to something. In this case, famous people, and tells a story using their names. Very, very clever. Very difficult to do.
Indeed.
Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast.
Welcome along to the 4 people waiting for us on the live stream.
Potentially, 2 of them are us. We don't know.
Well, to be really, I'm going to be honest with you, Guy. I'm currently watching it from 3 places, and you're watching it from 1.
So, welcome along to us. Welcome along us to our own podcast. It's great to be here. Thank you very much, everybody.
They call this Incelception.
Yeah. So, do you care to explain that?
Incelception?
Yeah.
Well, because we're just all incels and we're watching ourselves and listening to ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like Inception, except it's Incelception.
Yeah.
But you're not really an incel, just me.
Well, I'm not. Well, not some of the time. I mean, sometimes I am. That's called relationships, mate. That's called
right.
That's called.
I forgot.
That's called phase 2 of relationships.
Yeah.
Phase 1, no inselling.
Yeah.
Phase 2, well, you're really back to square one.
It's a slow incel out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's how they get you.
Yeah. So, welcome along to the podcast. We're day sort of 90-something.
Who knows?
90-something of the coronavirus.
Yeah. I see that you've opted for the grey infinity wall today, and to match it, you've dyed your beard grey, and worn your best woolen grey sweater.
Keep everything consistent.
Well.
So everything just look like a
grey.
Floating head.
Yeah. It's Grandpa Pigden.
Yeah. Old man sweater, old man jersey, grey background, grey hair, all grey everything. Get your fatigues on, all grey everything. So that's me. So anyway, we're in level 1 of the virus. We have not had any. We've had more cases, but they're all from people coming from overseas.
20 cases, I believe, with 1 person in hospital. That's the last I read. 20 cases so far, 1 person in hospital, but they've all come in from the border. But the issue has been that the border has been porous, and we've let a bunch of people through that didn't get tested properly or didn't get quarantined enough, and so, or they got special exemptions to leave quarantine, but without having been tested. And 2 of them escaped with COVID and drove along half the length of the country. And it was probably an issue. But so far, there's been no outbreak. But we wouldn't know yet, would we? Because it hasn't been 2 weeks.
No further repercussions. But at the moment, it's being managed.
Yeah. Well, if these people had it and went to a funeral, though, I don't know if they actually made it to the funeral. No. Maybe they just drove down and then they got tested when they got there or something because they were following the rules.
I think they drove just to see the funeral was just after they.
Very small.
They visited the person. They were dying. They weren't dead yet.
Ah.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
So they're in the last throes, the last gasps. So but it's interesting because in the rest of the world. Surging. COVID is surging.
Yeah, well, look, I'm actually quite worried about that.
And like to the loss of human life, to the fact that you can't go on holiday in the near future. What bit is concerning you?
The bit that concerns me is
The holiday in Europe.
Well, that is a concern as well. I mean, I did plan on seeing the pyramids at some point.
Sure,
You know what I mean?
sure.
I've never been to Europe at all. I was going to go see some European like battlegrounds.
Yep,
I was really interested in going and seeing some World War II battlegrounds and stuff, and other famous castles and stuff.
Yep.
And so that is disappointing. But no, the big concern here's the big issue, mate, is that it seems like certain parts of the world are going to give up, and they're just not really going to be able to contain it, unless, of course, we magically get a vaccine, right? But let's assume we don't get a vaccine for ages. It seems like a lot of the countries are kind of given up, and or are losing the fight potentially.
Yeah, definitely.
And like
loss,
it took months or something to get to our first million, and then it took like 8 days to get our latest million.
Yes, the efforts to flatten the curve in some countries, or it's sort of they did, but then they reopen. I mean, that's the big thing in America and a few places is everywhere reopening too soon, and then there's this surge, this spike, and it's like because COVID wasn't gone, COVID was never gone. It was just sort of lurking just beneath the surface.
Well. What concerns me, right, is bigger than just like COVID getting in. I've changed my mind. Well, not changed my mind, but I don't want it to come in. But it's bigger than it just getting in. It's the issue I'm thinking about here is that we could become like the North Korea of the South Pacific. Because we become completely isolationist because we have to in order to keep pristine.
Sure.
So we can't just have people coming and going. And if the rest of the world's given up, we have to, say, well, you can't come in, right?
Yep.
Because we need to do this. Now, what ends up happening is, and this was the article was titled something like, or it said something about COVID hysteria, and we'll get left behind with COVID hysteria, where basically the rest of the world will learn to live with it, and we'll still be here struggling and fighting to keep it out all the time. And as a result, we become isolationist, and our trading, is weaker, and our tourism is gone, and all of those things, and we become the North Korea of the South Pacific.
It's tricky.
What do you think about that?
Look, it's a very difficult proposition because right now, life's good for us here in New Zealand. Right now we're loving life. Everyone's, everyone. Sure, some places have, sure, you're completely unemployed and haven't worked in 3 months, but
sure,
but
sure, I'm an unemployed man,
and I maybe lose my job in 2 weeks, but
I'm a full-time podcaster.
Yeah, but ultimately, we've gone back to a state of normalcy, which is very nice. We can go places. When we can go to a bar and have a drink, we can go to a restaurant and have a bite to eat. The movie theaters are back. The theaters are back, guys. And so we've got all this stuff, which is really cool because normal life is much nicer than total isolation and shutdown for sure. And it's good, and it's good for our economy. It's good for everything. But in that is this thing. It's like, but now we're afraid of one person, basically. We're afraid of one escaped case. We're afraid of one, like, whereas some other places that are kind of like, well, minimize.
Yeah, well, it's a lovely prison. We're in a lovely prison.
Beautiful utopia.
It's a utopian prison.
But it is that thing because essentially this battle to keep COVID out is never ending. And so
exactly.
And of course, we're all hoping for a cure and all that, but again, who knows? But on the opposite side of the spectrum, we're looking at like America capitulate before our very eyes. And we're seeing
capitulate means surrender, right?
Well, to me, it's collapse and kind of fall to pieces. And so they're having to shut everything again anyway. So they're kind of open, they're shut, they're open, they're shut, they're open, they're shut, which is doing further damage to the economy.
They're such a big bloated fat beast that's about to be taken down by the
yeah,
animals, of the the other predators of the
well,
geopolitical
they're
scene.
taking themselves down.
They are.
But it's kind of this.
Can you imagine a new world order where it all flips over? Could happen.
Well, I mean, to me, it's the ignorance of seeing these people protesting wearing a mask. Like, I was very happy to wear a mask when we were in lockdown. Like, I had absolutely no qualms. I was like, cool, this is good for me, and it's good for other people. So either way, this is good. Do I like breathing my own coffee breath? Not so much.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
not really. Is this a sacrifice I'm willing to make for my country? Yeah, I think I can handle that.
Yeah.
I think I can handle that. Of all the things that you might be asked to do, and it does, because I remember I always talk to my grandma when I see her, who is still in lockdown, by the way, and cannot leave her house and cannot see anyone and must stay 2 meters away from everyone, basically, until we don't know when. She's in the UK. But she tells me stories about World War II and what it was like when they were under attack, when Germany was bombing them and stuff like that, and all those stories of what they had to do and the rationing, of how little food a whole family had to eat, and she was constantly starving and all this sort of thing. And one time she got in trouble because she was the person to go and get the food, and she had a little bite of a piece of cheese because because she thought no one would notice, but she was so hungry and it tasted so good that she had another and another and another until she ate the whole thing. And then she copped a beating when she got back, because it's like, that's our cheese for the week and you just ate it all. But you think about that level of sacrifice, people going to work in like factories to build munitions and the equipment to go to war, and you think about all the volunteers going out, and then you see these fat fucking Americans screaming at the concept that they might have to wear a mask for a while, and it's an embarrassment to the human race, really, isn't it? I mean, it's diabolical. And
it's not. It doesn't reflect very positively on the education system over there.
It's a level of ignorance, but it's also, what's worse than that is it's a level of self-serving sort of selfishness that is really
they're like teenagers. They're like
petulant teenagers, and it's so it's just so selfish, because you're like, look, okay, cool, you don't give a shit about COVID. Spare a thought for everyone that this could seriously affect, if not you. Do you really? Is walking around fucking breathing on people that important? It boggles my mind when I see this stuff. But it's also kind of like those flames are fanned by people like Donald Trump. Imagine if Donald Trump just put a fucking mask on for some of his rallies. Go, hey guys, just wear your masks.
So ridiculous.
I mean, the very fact that he's holding rallies, which could, and will increase COVID, increase transmission and increase community transmission. It's like, why would you ever hold a rally knowing that you could potentially endanger the people for whom you serve? Like, it's
because he doesn't care about them.
It's born out of his own selfishness, but that fuels then these fucking anti-maskers. And
it's crazy to think that they're actually called that, anti-maskers.
I just made that up, but
no. Somebody said that. Like, I read that today, and it was an used to be anti-vaxxers.
Now it's anti-maskers,
right? But now there's actual anti-maskers, and the anti-vaxxers and the anti-maskers are the same fucking people.
They're colluding.
Absolutely. Morons.
So, but when you see all this kind of like insanity going on over there, and you're just like, man, you guys are meant to be leading by example, but maybe if you had a leader that led by example, you wouldn't have all this. But it's like, I really hope that he gets severely ill. And I'd love to say, I hope he gets severely ill and dies, but no, that's not going to do anything. But I hope that if he gets same sort of Boris Johnson situation, if he actually catches COVID, because right now I think he thinks he's immune. Like, he's literally like, I am so important and so special, I can't get this.
It's not that.
My immunity is so good.
He's working for the Christian death cult.
Oh,
so his job, His
Oh
Pence
no.
has got a Christian death cult. It's at the top, and his job is to bring about the apocalypse because that's what the Bible says. The end of days is when Jesus will come back, and so this apocalyptic death cult, of which Mike Pence is a big mover and shaker, is got their fist right up Donald Trump's ass, and they say, you go out there and you fucking shake hands with everybody. You hold their babies, you tell them to come and bloody Yahoo. Your job is to spread this plague amongst humanity because we are bringing about the end of days. And one of the things we need to do is we need to disestablish, unstabilize things in order to cause ruptures in society.
Yeah, I really attribute.
I'll look it up,
I
bro. Look
really
it up, bro.
attribute that to some self-isolation conspiracyism there. Because this is the thing. Is like I think you're way overestimating Trump's ability to engage in that sort of thing. There is absolutely no way.
He's a willing puppet. He's a puppet. He's the court jester. He's a puppet, but he's smart enough to know it. And you don't get to the top without cracking a few eggs and being a bit ruthless, cutthroat, and cunning.
I just think
he's all of those things,
me,
and he's playing the clown.
It's sheer. You cannot. There is not an actor that good in the world at acting
he's
fucking
just being
stupid
himself. No, he's the perfect cast for it. He is being himself, which is like a full of bluster idiot, and they all know that, and they're like, that's why they're still standing behind him, because that's what they need. They need this blustering idiot to get the basically the dumb masses to rise up, the ignorant masses to rise up. They need this clown jumping around up there, leading a bad example.
Can't get on board with this conspiracy.
It's all part of the plan, man. It's all part of the fucking plan.
Board with this conspiracy.
It's all part of the plan, homie. Shout out to a couple of people on the live stream. Kiwi Jezza, looking good in HD. Thank you. That was quite an investment.
Several thousand dollars well spent for that comment, that remark.
Lexi Graves 13. Shout out Lexi. Lexi's a legend. She's a live streamer as well. Go check out Lexi Graves 13 if you're looking for some gaming to watch. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
That's all I got to say. Yeah. So anyway, it is quite like the world burns. And us, this tiny little island, we're just chilling, going, geez, that's crazy. That's crazy. Like that's crazy. What's going on?
Well, we are that dog meme, that dog in the burning house meme.
Fine.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Everything's fine. That's New
fine.
Zealand. Yeah, that's New Zealand. The whole world is burning, and we're just sitting there.
But I guess the strange thing is because even in Australia, they've just had a bit of a spike. And I was talking to my sister last night, and because it was her birthday, shout out to my sister, happy birthday again.
Shout out.
Sorry, I was 2 days.
Happy birthday.
I was 2 days late on that happy birthday. Like I said, I'm 2 days behind the rest of the world. So anyway, she was like, yeah, I haven't come back to work. So I'm just getting this government subsidy, and they've just postponed it reopening, the casino where she works. So she has, and I was like, well, are you running out of money sort of thing? And she's like, no, that subsidy sort of covers my rent and food. And I was like, so you've just been on holiday for over 3 months? And she's like, yeah. Yep, that's what I've been doing. And I was like, I was like, shit, COVID don't sound so bad. Maybe we should have got a bit longer, more community transmission going on. But to be honest, like, that's one side of the coin where your sort of government helps and helps you sort of get by, but that's certainly not the norm necessarily. So you can't rely on these 3-month holidays. But it's like, when was the last time you took? I guess you specifically,
me.
Yeah, it was right now. But like, when was the time before this that you literally had 3 months off? Just 3 months where you just did nothing.
Yeah, no, it hasn't really happened for a while.
In your adult life.
Oh no! I had like 4 months off when I went to Mexico.
Okay.
Just chilled on the beach 4 months in Mexico.
Extended
that was
holiday.
Good times.
Yeah.
Orale. It was good. Good times. Yeah.
But it's a very long time to actually be told to stay home.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm doing it. They didn't tell me to, but They just didn't tell me to come out
They
again.
just did.
That's the problem when you're a freelancer. You've got to someone's got to ask you to come out.
Yes.
So that's all looking pretty grim. This is a filmmaking podcast.
It's a podcast about our lives.
And what's going on with your upcoming job situation?
Well, I have not had my contract renewed, so I now currently have 2 weeks left on that contract. And
is that an indication that they're not going to, or you like? Do you think is there still time, or is it sort of looking like you're out, kid?
a stay of execution. I'm still looking for the governor's pardon. I still believe it's certainly on the cards. There is a possible reprieve for sure. This is not the first time we've been down this road where they have delayed it. Also, there was a sort of a thing posted by them recently by the institute I work for, who were like, "Hey, we're getting record numbers of students now signing up."
Well, I was thinking about studying.
Oh, exactly.
Because it makes sense, right? It's like there's no workaround. Why not study? This is the perfect
Gain
time.
some
If
extra
you're going to be broke, you're going to be broke anyway. Why not be a broke student?
Yeah.
Rather than an unemployed person.
Why not be a broke student and hit on some fellow student babes? Hey, what's up, my dudes? I'm just a regular student like you.
Hello, fellow young people.
I'm just here learning like you. Just finished school.
Well, that's what I'll do if I go to
very 21 Jump Street situation here. Except you're not an undercover cop. You're just an undercover old person.
I'll tell you what it is. It's Hopeless Romantics, which was a script that you and I wrote that was about us going to university, sneaking into university when we were high school students, because we realized that you can just walk in. There's no roll call at university. You just walk in and out. So as long as you look the part, you can just walk in and sit down and learn stuff. You just can't sit the tests. But if you want an education and if you want to learn, you could go every day and do that.
Yeah.
You
can get a free education. You
just don't get the piece of paper.
Yeah, you just won't have any type of qualification. If you were smart, what you would do is you would get the free education, you'd take all the tests. The problem is you couldn't take some of the exams.
You can't take that. But you can't take any of the tests.
And you couldn't log in online.
No, you can't log in. You'd literally just be walking in and attending university and listening to the lecturers.
And making notes.
Yeah.
But you could sort of probably cut your actual...
But if you showed up on day one, nobody would ever know, right? You just show up and you go, hi, I'm Candy. Or whatever.
Yeah, you could also get away with impersonating someone else potentially. I don't know.
Well, that seems a little fraudulent. It seems a little illegal. Well, I was thinking that I could do that at Otago, which is essentially it's like a reimagining of our Hopeless Romantic scripts, except for we're old and we're going back to uni.
The reverse.
Which has been done. It has been done. But it'll be our version of it.
I believe that's a Rodney Dangerfield film called Back to School. But yes, absolutely.
I was thinking of that one with Will Ferrell in it. Will Ferrell in it.
Yeah, old school. And then there's maybe Never Been Kissed as well. It's Drew Barrymore. Yeah, I think that's the one.
I'm thinking about doing that anyway. Because
if I do go to Dunedin, Never Been Kissed.
If I do go to Dunedin, and I'm in my own house, which I'm living in cheaply because I'm renting out the other rooms, I could live for cheap, go to uni, but I would need to know what to study. And the thing is, it doesn't make sense to study anything like that's not say business is a good idea, marketing is a good idea. These are things that are good for like producing. So they're good for my producing career. So if I go get some business stuff done, maybe I can get my producing stuff done.
Yep.
But that shit sounds boring as fuck. I want to go and study like paleontology or anthropology. Or evolution.
The most fucking total waste of time.
Well, exactly. I wouldn't be able to do it because what's the point? I'd go to uni and I'd come out with a degree. I'd be a paleontologist all of a sudden.
You'd be Ross from Friends.
Yeah. Nah, maybe not paleontology, but like anthropology.
Yeah. That would do absolutely nothing for you.
No, it would make me a better person in terms of it would expand my mind in ways and introduce me to new ways of thinking and so on, which is the other reason why I think it would be a good idea to go to uni.
Yeah, might do.
No, absolutely.
Well, not really, because if you apply it in the same way that you applied going to your last year of high school, it's just a subject that is slightly more interesting to you. You would certainly expand your knowledge at least temporarily, but
it's just not very useful knowledge.
You might not sort of gain any new life skills.
No, but in terms of in terms of character development, just the very process of going to university and meeting all these people and being awash with, you know, all these young people, changing the world.
The same fucking Dead Poet Society, mate. I do think that would definitely happen, but I don't necessarily think it would happen in that first 3 years of study. I think when you go further,
I would be hanging out with all sorts of interesting people.
Is that right? Have you hung out with first year students recently?
I wouldn't be hanging out with the first years very often.
You're a first year.
I'm a first year. I know.
So that's who you're going to be discussing shit with.
Yeah, man, that'd be funny. I'm literally sitting next in this room of 18-year-olds. Like, what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but we'll see. It's an idea. It's an idea.
Yeah, so these sign-ups are through the roof, and they're going to fire me? Famous last words. And they're going to get rid of me when there's never been more people applying. Touch wood.
Yeah.
So who knows? The jury is still out. Obviously, the stress and anxiety levels are high. Very high.
Do you get snappy? And have fights with the missus?
Oh
no.
No, I
haven't figured out how to fix this yet.
I don't. No, I just more kind of find it hard to sleep, and am constantly in a state of restlessness, and have many things kind of circling around in my mind of, fuck, I got to do this, got to do that. What if I do that? I have to do this, and so on and so forth. A constant buzzing. Which is definitely not healthy. So, yeah.
What's the latest on Operation 2?
Well, that's the other thing too. I have this surgery coming up, and again, it's like, well, mid July they said, and it's like, cool. Well, we're just about to hit early July, and I haven't heard anything, and I will be quite upset if they kind of, which I certainly predict being likely, if they push it, because mid-July is my term break, which would be very good. Now, just say my contract is renewed, but they also delay the surgery again, which they've been pretty consistent with delaying so far. That means that it goes from being a time where I can recover and recuperate to a time where I'm meant to be teaching a class and I can't walk or drive, and I need a potty to go to the toilet. None of these things are conducive to teaching.
I'm hoping that it's pushed back just enough that you get to attend the world premiere of Immi The Vegan, which is our web series that we've just completed, and it's going to be coming out publicly on July 20th, Monday, July 20th. Immi The Vegan. You can go on YouTube right now and you can search for Immi, I-M-M-I, Immi The Vegan, and you can see there the trailer and some other little skits and bits and pieces, and you can find it on Facebook as well and Instagram, Immi The Vegan. And so on July 20th, we've got our world premiere. It's going to be a cinema world premiere. We're going to be selling a few limited tickets, which we're getting close. We're going to release those soon, and we are going to be having a screening and then a couple of drinks afterwards, and I'm hoping that you can make it, Guy.
Yes, well, I hope I can make it as well,
because we're going to have a party on July 19th. So it comes out on July 20th on the internet, but the party is on July 19th. So if you're interested in attending that, put it in your schedule. July 19th, 5 p.m. There's going to be a very limited number of tickets for sale, because we need to cover the cost of the
venue,
of hiring the venue.
See it on the big screen.
We're going to sell some. So come see it on the big screen. Come see the whole thing with the cast and crew, and then come for a beer afterwards. Now it is dry July, which is the good thing about 2020 is that it's almost finished now. We're heading into the second half already. But I did realize recently, much to my dismay, that that dry July had sort of skulked back up upon us this year, and so I have to do it. And so I've signed up, and I'm doing dry July. And you can find me if you search for Harley Neville on dryjuly.co.nz. And what that means is you sponsor me to not drink for the month of July, and the money goes to people living with cancer and making life easier for people living with cancer. And so I'm aiming for $250. I put 25 in. Now I started with 25 so that I could buy myself a golden ticket so that on the night of Immi the Vegan, I can have a drink. But we'll see what's happening. May or may not use it.
What, the golden ticket?
The golden ticket. It depends if it's a party or not, I guess. Guess it depends if you're there.
Yeah. This all comes down to this operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was definitely happy of the initial delay, although I would be feeling, had I got that surgery then, on June the 3rd, when it was originally scheduled, I'd be on the road to recovery now. So, you know, there's pros and cons. But, yeah, so there's that. Those things are looming.
Yeah. Well, something strange happened today, which was that I posted a couple of pictures of you and me. Did you see this? Of us wearing the merch, our Sifty 150 and Filthy 50 podcast merch.
Yep.
So I posted that on Facebook, on the Facebook page, facebook.com/GuyAndHarley. And there's two pictures, one of you wearing a t-shirt, one of me wearing a t-shirt.
Yep.
And I boosted the post. So I paid Facebook to put it out in front of our friends that have, our people who have liked our page. So our 1,000 or however many people it is that like our page, it got pushed out to them specifically, but not to other people out in the world, just to them. That's what I paid to boost. So I put this post up and I boosted it to our followers. And it got 123 likes really quickly, which is about 120 more than normal.
Yep.
And I had a look, and none of them had liked the page, and they were all from third world countries and looked like fake accounts. And it also had 3 random comments, which were like positive, but you know, like random, like perfect type thing. So I invited all those people to the page, and none of them responded, which very much suggests there's not a real person out there. But what's going on? Is Facebook literally just paying like a subscriber train type person to give me fake traffic on things that I boost? Because that's not how it works. It's meant to go to people in our list who are already engaged with us, our super fans. We don't want random things from the other side of the world from bot accounts.
Well, are you launching an inquiry into this?
No, I'm pretty stoked because it looks great. 123 likes looks awesome. You know what I mean? Like, it looks great for us. Like, we just got some free traffic. We got some, that would have cost somebody. Maybe somebody gave the wrong account or
Facebook
something.
conspiracies, man. To me, this is like a Watergate style scandal that you've just uncovered, and you're just gonna keep the bloody likes. You just gotta hold on. You just hold on to the like. You gotta hold on to the meaningless likes. Can't believe it.
Yeah. Well, I could probably compile this. I do wonder if what happened is because, you know, the way it works, right, is you can go to places on the internet of ill repute and you can like subscriber train, they're called. And basically what you do is you go there, you go, hey, I want 1,000 views on this video. You pay $5 or whatever it is, and 1,000 other people who have real accounts, they're real people with real accounts, they all hit like on it. And in return, they get, you know, 1 cent each, or they get tokens which they can then use to promote their own videos. And so that's how it works. Basically, it's a big pool of people getting together to hit like on specific things, and you can buy that. But that's not what Facebook is meant to be selling. That's because it's useless, because you get 123 likes, but it's nobody that gives a fuck. It's not real people.
Yeah. Well,
you know, you want your super fans to see the ad. We want our super fans like Jeremy Howson and Alexandra Bates and Jason P. Diddy Combs and Liam Hegarty and Jamie Oxley and Chuck Black and Nico Medill and all of you other guys out there. And I'm sorry if I missed you. Huda Moss.
Yeah, well, look, I guess we'll have to see what happens with your next post.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just having a quick look now to see what it's up to now. 223 likes.
Yeah, this is disturbing. This is
223
this doesn't
likes.
make any sense.
Yeah.
This isn't us.
And it's just are you looking at it?
No.
Yeah, go to well, you don't have to, but listeners, go to facebook.com/GuyAndHarley and scroll down and you'll see it. 223 likes. Something wacky going on over there.
But yeah, so I guess well, we'll see if the next one does the same thing.
Yeah, it'd be great. It could be great if we get 123 likes on our YouTube channel. So if you guys could go along and hit thumbs up wherever you're watching, that'd be helpful.
Now we should just quickly mention that the AMC Theatres, which is like the big theatre chain over in America, was sort of scheduling to open back up their theatres.
Okay.
And they originally were like, yeah.
And these are the guys that got in trouble for what was the digital situation?
Well, so originally they were like, we're blacklisting, I think it was Universal Pictures, whoever was doing the Fast and the Furious maybe, because they released Trolls 2 or some such nonsense.
Something like that.
You know, online because COVID.
Yeah. Because they couldn't do it because of COVID, yeah. And then it did extra well. It did better than normal.
Better than it would have if they're going off their predictions of the original.
And now, this disgraced, ashamed company is doing something.
Yeah, so now they're like, but hey, good news, guys. The theaters are going to open back up. And they may have already, or they're about to. They're opening back up. And this is before the most recent surge. And they're like, and look, we don't want to be political, so you guys don't have to wear masks in here either. And obviously there was a substantial amount of backlash to that because...
What? So they said we don't want to be political, so you don't have to wear masks.
We don't want to get involved in the politics of mask or non-mask wearing. So when you're inside the theater watching a movie, you can cough... your full distance onto other people that are sitting near you.
Yeah.
This COVID hotbed can grow exponentially because we don't want to get political.
But it's so stupid that they consider hygiene political.
Well, again, it's a desperation. It's a desperation tactic
to get people in.
It's like, look, we can provide an environment where
dumb money.
We're sort of again, and it's Trumpism. So anyway, but then obviously there was a considerable backlash to that, and then they quickly backtracked and they're like, you know how we said about the no mask thing? Actually, if the rules are that you have to wear a mask, in the state or wherever, actually we will be respecting that now. You know how we said we weren't going to get political? Well, our Twitter reactions weren't good, so we're getting political, guys. Sorry about that.
This whole thing's been so good for teaching humanity some lessons. I reckon there's so many people out there, like people who at the beginning were anti-mask or anti-this or anti-that are probably starting to feel quite dumb now, and the people that panic bought the toilet paper and, all of those people are all learning bitter lessons. And I feel like that's a good thing. I want people to learn those bitter lessons so they can be as bitter and miserable as me.
Because then they'll understand how the world really is.
Exactly.
And then they'll know the true pain of existence. And that's important for everyone in the world to recognize.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, on that topic, we'll just segue into who's dead this week. So who's dead this week? We've actually got a double header. Got a double bill of deaths on who's dead this week. Now, sadly, the first death is Bilbo Baggins of the Shire. He was mourned by his neighbours, the Brandy Bucks and the Tooks, and I understand that a lot of his belongings at Bag End will be auctioned off at the end of the month.
Really? They might be auctioning off
all the props.
In honor of like for charity or something in honor of him.
So Bilbo Baggins is Ian Holm, who died at 88 years of age from Parkinson's or complications through Parkinson's. And Ian Holm, what do you know about Ian Holm apart from him being Bilbo, Harley?
He was obviously also in a secondary film.
Googling.
Aliens.
Alien with no S.
That's what I said. That's what I said. Alien. He was an alien.
Yeah, so that was probably.
So there you go. And I wasn't Googling, by the way. You would hear me typing. I'm a very thorough typer when I type. You
can't use your mouse
to Google.
Oh yeah. Okay, you just.
Well, how do you type Ian Holmes or whatever with the mouse? With a mouse.
Voice recognition.
Well, then you'd probably hear me talking.
Well, you might have to say
we're on a live.
Well, you might have had to say, "Hey Siri" first.
Yeah, or I'd just be like a ventriloquist. I'm like, "Hey Siri, Ian Holmes, Google Ian Holmes."
I literally just opened that up when I said, "Hey Siri." Ian Holm is dead. He was a sort of, I guess, most well known now for being Bilbo Baggins, which was an amazing part, but also he was the android in Alien. And you didn't sort of realize he was an android until sort of some time into it, and he started going fucking crazy and fucking shit up. And it was really good and scary and intimidating. And he's been in a million other things, but those are maybe his two most memorable roles. And all-round good dude by the sounds of it, and a great actor. And it is, I don't know, I thought that one was kind of sad. It was particularly sad because Peter Jackson told a story on his Facebook about working with him to shoot his sort of part in The Hobbit. Basically went over there for dinner, and Ian said that he couldn't be part of the film because he now had Parkinson's and he struggled to remember his lines and walk around and stuff like that, and it was just going to be too difficult. And through the course of that discussion, they sort of Peter sort of ultimately pitched to him that, like, well, what if we took the whole freaking production to you in London, we shot on set near to where you live, and we worked around all that stuff. And he sort of very graciously agreed, and that was his last part.
What was that role? Sorry, what was that role?
That was for Bilbo in The Hobbit. So when he played Bilbo in The Hobbit, he was suffering from Parkinson's disease, and he had no intentions of doing any more acting at that point.
So how did they take him? How did they take the set? They took the Shire set.
They took everything
like
to
the
him.
Indoor Shire set. So, and they went over to London, and they shot his scenes
in London.
In London. So, and probably we don't probably see him in the outside at the Shire.
Yeah,
or something.
Or if they did,
maybe we only see him inside.
Or you saw him outside on like.
Well, they just built the whole fucking Shire. They don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck. They just built it again in London. Holy crap, that's cool.
Yeah. And I think that's that's a great story about him, but it's also a great story about Peter Jackson in the sense that I think there's this misconception that he didn't give a shit when he was making The Hobbit. Like he cared less about trying to make it as good as possible.
What? Who has said that? Nobody has said that. I have never heard that. I've always thought he was the only director that could possibly have done it.
Everyone has maintained that. Like, not everyone.
And that he nailed it. Everyone loves that trilogy. They fucking love it. It's a huge hit. The Lord of the Rings.
The Hobbit trilogy.
Oh, The Hobbit. Yeah, no, he didn't give a shit about that.
So,
Okay.
So anyway, there's this misconception that he was, that was sort of he just needed to make some money, and it was just cashing in on the success of Lord of the Rings.
So he had dementia by the time of The Hobbit, not Lord of the Rings.
Correct.
I'm with you. Okay.
And so
that makes a lot more sense.
The very idea that you would, for the sake of having your actors return and sort of being true to the story you're trying to tell, that you would literally ship everything over to London just to feature that person shows a great amount of sort of passion and dedication, because most people would have gone, cool, well, let me just delete that couple of pages of dialogue and we'll move on. So I think that's an awesome story about both of them, and rest in peace, Ian Holm. But we'll always fondly remember you as Bilbo in that bit where you go, "It's mine!" and your face gets all freaky when you're reaching for the ring. Good shit, man. Absolutely good shit. Also, one of the other things, one of the stories he said was that...
I think there might have been visual effects.
Yeah, of course there was visual effects involved as well. I don't think that's in question, Harley. We're just talking...
Show some fucking respect.
Just talking about a classic moment. But also, Peter said that a lot of the, like, he would do each take differently. And he said beforehand to Peter, look, don't stress. Let me do a bunch of takes. I'll give you a whole bunch of different variations. And if by sort of take 5 or 6, there's something that you're still looking for, come and have a chat with me. And I'll try and adjust accordingly to what you're looking for. But I'm just going to give you options. And that's like the dream sort of thing for an actor to come up and say to you, because it's like, awesome. So I have all these different variations, and should none of those variations be what I'm personally looking for, we can have a little chat and we'll get that as well. So
see, I wish I was brave enough to be like that, you know, because you go, once you're established, you can go and you go, look, this is how I'm thinking about playing it. Going to play it a bunch of these ways, and people are like, cool, we trust you, haha. But not so much when you're an amateur, you know, unheard of amateur. People are like, they're like, you come and you do it this way, you do it that way, and you kind of, it takes a certain boldness to just go in and do it your way.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. I think you really need to have that discussion with the director rather than just going, I'm thinking this, the end, suck it if you don't like it. But yeah, so Ian Holm passed away. So Parkinson's is a horrible disease as well. Fucking horrible disease.
Yeah.
But to cap that off, I will say a little quote from The Hobbit.
All right.
The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can. Put that on my fucking eulogy. Slap that bad boy on there. So anyway...
Episode 173. That's where the quote is.
Thank you for that, Ian. And one other who's dead this week, it was a double bill, sadly. Joel Schumacher. Do you know who that is, Harley?
A race car driver. Great race car driver.
Horrible head injury. Never recovered. No, that is Michael Schumacher, I believe, that you're talking about. Joel Schumacher is a director. Famed director, I guess, of the 80s and 90s more so than super recently. But he's done some pretty awesome films. And in fact, when he passed away at 80. That one was a sad one too, because, man, he's done some of my favorite films, I think. And even when looking to go, well, I think this was his best film, he's actually done a shit ton. So I guess his most famous film of all time would be Batman Forever, with Jim Carrey as the Riddler and and Val Kilmer as Batman. So that would be his sort of most, I guess, notable. But then that's really one of his shit films. His best films are probably, well, I would say it's a sort of almost a three-way tie between The Lost Boys.
Ooh, I like that movie.
Great vampire film. Seek it out if you have not seen it. Very, very cool. Like, just heaps of fun. Like, really, like, one of the best vampire movies. And quite timeless, I feel. Flatliners.
Yep, another good movie. I also like that one too.
Another little gem. Definitely fucking freaky. They've done a remake of it, which sucks ass, but the original is really good. And again, very sort of diverse. And then maybe his greatest one, and especially for the age that we're living in now, Falling Down.
I don't think I saw that one.
I think you have. It's the one where Michael Douglas flips out and loses his shit and goes on a kind of spree, like menacing people. He's like an put upon office guy, and he goes in and like holds up not a McDonald's but a burger place because he just wants his fucking fries and shit. You haven't seen that one?
And not ringing any bells.
Amazing film. So again, if you're gonna watch anyone, that's probably the one. I mean, for pure fun, Lost Boys. For pure horror, Flatliners. And for maybe best quality, Falling Down. So shout out to him, great director. And, you know, I guess this is the great shame if you're a good director. So he's made, again, I think it's hard to make one great film in your life. And he made at least 3 there. And unfortunately, his legacy is reduced to Harley fucking mistaking him for a race car driver. That's the
famous scare.
That's the reality for you know, you think you've done some good work in your directing life. Some arsehole,
but those are good movies.
Those are good movies. But some arsehole on a podcast is gonna boil it down to mistaking you for a race car driver.
A fucking podcast hole. A podcast hole.
Dad joke number 1, in case you're keeping track.
Now I'm going to war with Facebook at the moment because they've started putting ads in my Messenger inbox. So you're getting this as well? You're getting ads in your Messenger inbox. You check Messenger and there's an ad in there.
You know what? I got that the other day. I got that once the other day because I was scrolling through. I was looking to message someone, and then I saw this random thing popped up, and I was like, "What the?" I was like, "When did I message this ad?"
Yeah, exactly. It's an ad that has appeared in your thing. So they have started putting ads in there, and that is literally unsolicited spam. We passed laws so that shit can't happen in email, right?
Yep.
And now suddenly, because you call it Messenger, that means it's not an ad sent directly to my inbox?
Yeah.
Fuck those guys. So here's what I've been doing. I've been flagging or hiding every ad I see. And when it asks why, I just go to fucking town on them. I flag them as sexually inappropriate. I flag them as spam. I flag them as abusive. I flag them as misinformation and fake news. I throw the book at those motherfuckers. And you want to know what the goal is?
What?
I'm going to take it down from the inside. I'm going to take down all of Facebook from the inside. Now, the goal here is to sow discord between Facebook and its advertisers. Because we're a third party here. We are the product. There's the Facebook, there's the advertisers, and Facebook sells us to the advertisers. That's how it works. So we need to create discord between Facebook and its advertisers. So, you know, like imagine how pissed off you'd be if your ad got flagged and taken down because of, you know, my bullshit.
Because of your silly nonsense.
You'd probably be quite pissed off at Facebook, I think. Yeah. So, as an act of rebellion, I flagged them as, you know, whatever. Half the time I don't even look. I just hit the buttons indiscriminately and see what happens. It's like the fuck you lotto. Yep. So I would like to encourage anyway all of the CD160 listeners to follow my example and mark every ad in your inbox, your Facebook inbox, Facebook Messenger as spam or inappropriate. Whenever it pops up, it takes like 2 seconds. It's like just a few swipes. We can use the system against itself if us workers/products unite.
Workers?
Well, workers is a reference to the communism thing, but we're products. We're products.
Right.
Yeah, we are the product.
Now, but
we're the people.
Speaking of communism, the Greens unveiled a new plan. Have you read anything about this?
Was it like a universal basic income?
Sort of, yeah.
Guaranteed $300 and something a week, but I didn't really actually look into it. I just hit thumbs up patriotically.
So essentially the Greens Party, which is part of the majority that makes up our current party in New Zealand.
Our current government.
In New Zealand, sorry. Our government in New Zealand. Have advocated this new economic plan, this $8 billion economic plan, where everyone who is unemployed gets $325 per week. That's students and you and anyone. And to pay for this, only the rich past a certain pay bracket are taxed. You know, the top, I think it's the top
That is fucking
The top,
revolutionary, and I
the
love
top
it.
1 or 2% are taxed. So
Yeah.
and you know what I
And those greedy motherfuckers will be
oh yeah,
against
so
it
I
as
read
well.
it.
They'll be so against it. What? Everybody might get something, not on my fucking watch.
It's interesting because yeah, in this thread that I read was a guy outraged over it, who I don't presume is actually making in that top 1 or 2%.
No. Well, they never are, right? I mean, the outraged people.
Well, those millionaires are outraged as well.
They're not the cream of the crop.
They're definitely outraged. So
yeah, I'm just assuming this person you're about to read from is one of the nuts that's just outraged all the time.
No, I mean he's definitely a right-leaning person for sure. But I guess what I thought was interesting, and yeah, and there were people all not in that top 1% commenting who were also outraged, and I thought it was kind of interesting because I don't really have a problem with that. But I'm also not in the top 1 or 2%. But I do think there is a misconception that if you work hard all your life, you should have a better life than everyone. Because that's basically the argument against, you know, because it's like, well, I've worked hard all my life to make all this money so I can live at this elevated level way more than everyone else. And should this tax, you know, take me down a couple levels into a completely very comfortable, extremely nice life still, that is not okay. I want my second yacht. I have to agree with my communist brother, Harley Neville, on this one. That I don't really have a problem with it. And I think that if I get into that 1 or 2% one day, I should be paying a lot of tax.
This is why I'm not even against capital gains tax, and I'm hoping to buy a house, right? And capital gains tax is when you pay tax on the profit you've made from buying and then selling a house. So you buy a house, and people are making these, you know, ridiculous amounts of money, tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars from buying and selling houses, and there's no tax on it. And it's like, if I buy a house for $300,000 and I sell it for $500,000, why the fuck am I so greedy that I don't want to give my 20% to the government so that they can pay for the goddamn roads which lead up to my house, you know, and the pipes underground that lead to the water that pay my, well, I do pay rates for that as well, but you know what I mean? Like the taxes, our taxes are used to run the country, and we live in a great country. So yeah, I don't mind paying the taxes. Everything costs money. They need our money. That's how it works. So if I make 200 grand, I give 20% to them, I'm 160 grand richer. Cool. Lucky me.
Yeah.
Aren't I fucking lucky?
Yeah, it's an interesting... Interesting. I mean, you're talking about... I mean, you feel very passionately about this at the moment.
I want to buy a house. No, but I want to buy a house, right? And when I sell it, I don't, you know, I mean, it's in my best interest not to pay tax on it, obviously. I get that. You know, and let's be honest, heaps of money gets wasted on dumb shit. And, you know, these politicians are all getting paid too much with my tax dollar. It's inefficient, you know. So look, maybe I could argue, well, fuck it. Just give me my 200 grand and fuck all you guys. But, of course, I'm not selfish enough for that. I understand that that's just our big inefficient system. That's how it works. And we're working on it. We're streamlining it.
Well, also, I think there's that misconception that, I'm just paying for losers and dole bludgers, and it's like,
you're paying for them, but you're also paying for people that need it.
Yeah, like it's true. You are.
It's inefficient.
It's inefficient. Paying for those people, but in reality, it's like, don't you remember struggling to find a job? You know, way back when, you know.
Yeah, but lots of people don't, especially these rich people, because they never had to do it. They were born with it. So it's always been theirs. They never had to work for it. It was theirs all along. So they're giving us something of theirs, as opposed to earning something and then understanding the value of it and then sharing it.
Well, look, I say bring it on, but that's definitely not going to happen. But I thought it was an interesting a bold pitch from the Greens on that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's quite revolutionary. It's going to, like, if it actually happened, that's exactly what we need to do. Tax the fucking top however many percent, spread the wealth a little.
The problem with something...
Centralize this government, worldwide government, centralized worldwide government. That's what we need.
Oh, boy. I've set you off now.
No, you know what? You know how before we were talking about conspiracies, well, you were talking about
Yeah.
conspiracies. I was telling you how it is, and you
Yeah.
ain't woke enough yet
Yeah.
to hear
Yes.
it. But you know,
Yes.
I've offered you the red pill, and you are going to take it. You're going to take it eventually. Um, now, I did actually say at the beginning about how Trump and Pence got this
The
thing, right?
Christian death cult.
Now,
Yes.
the
Yes.
Christian
Yep.
death cult. Now here's the thing. Here's the
Okay.
thing. In the Bible, it actually says that the end to times will be heralded by trumpets. So the trumpets will play and the end time will
Uh-huh.
come. Now some people are very literal and they're waiting to hear
Mm.
trumpets, literal trumpets playing a musical instrument. But I know that trumpets is Trump Pence. Trump Pence. The end will be heralded by Trump Pence. Just saying. You're going to call that a coincidence? I don't fucking think so.
Speaking of Joel Schumacher films, there is a film called The Number 23.
No thoughts on that. No thoughts on Trump Pence.
Yeah, my reply is there is a film called The Number 23. And it's about Jim Carrey, and he sees the number 23 everywhere.
Right. Yeah, I see where you're going with this. I did watch one of his movies the other day as well. I watched Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
You really have.
He's a funny dude.
You have too much.
Have you heard about this dude?
Have
Jim
you
Carrey?
heard about this? He's a really funny guy. Apparently he's a comedian.
No, I was babysitting, and that was the movie they chose.
Right. I was gonna say, like, the time on your hands has become suddenly infinite.
No. Yeah.
You're.
Yeah. So number 23, Trump Pence got it. Yeah.
Cool. You got anything else? I got.
Well, I did notice something, which was that I recently learned actually that unsolicited and solicited are not opposites. They're not opposites. Mm-hmm. So unsolicited means unasked mm-hmm. for. To solicit someone means approach with an offer for sex in return for mm-hmm. money, or vice versa. So the opposite of an unsolicited dick pic is not a solicited dick pic, I don't think. Mm-hmm. Unless you paid for it. Unless you paid for that dick pic. Yeah. So anyway, I was thinking if you had a solicitor, a guy that knows the law, right, and he's strolling along the street, and on said street, a prostitute happened to approach said solicitor to offer her services, then that is an unsolicited solicitation of a solicitor. Thinking about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry for all the salacious solicitation speak. I'm a mellifluous, lascivious recidivist and proud. So maybe I've been reading a few too many dictionaries during my unemployment.
There appears to be a increase in. You know, you really haven't done very much in this 3 months, Harley.
Yeah, well, look, I'm just struggling to survive here.
You've really done fuck all productive.
I'm just struggling
really
to survive.
Falling behind on the productivity in this.
I'm just getting through. Yeah, the whole world's ending. The whole world's ending. And I'm so lonely. I'm so lonely. I'm just doing my best. I get through day to day. I put in recently, actually, for a local pub that I hold events at sometimes. I messaged and I said, hey, so actually, how about a job on the bar? So, because I do a little bit of bar work here.
Sure.
And there, so, yeah, get out. I was like, I need to get out more. And I was like, and I need to get money. And I was like, well, how about I get paid to get out?
Yeah.
So, maybe they'll get back to me.
I mean, that Uber job is just sitting there for you whenever you're...
Yeah, but I've got to get qualified and I've got to spend $1,000 or whatever becoming an Uber driver. I've got to do all of that.
It's more like $180 now, I believe.
Right. All right. Yeah. Yeah, well, look, it's a maybe. It's a maybe. We'll see. We'll see how desperate we
We'll
get.
see
Now,
how
I've
this
also been
next
looking.
3 months plays out.
We'll see how the next. Well, look, I do actually have a bit of a move on. Maybe is I talked to my flatmate tonight and said to him, I'm thinking about giving him notice. I wasn't officially giving him notice yet, but sort of letting him know that it's on the cards. So I've gone and I've looked at a few flats, and I looked at a flat today, that was a lot cheaper than the one I'm currently in. So, but Auckland flats, and so I'm looking around for these cheaper Auckland flats. Lots of sexism in the flat hunting. People don't want creepy men in their late 30s very much.
Is it sexism or ageism? I feel like it's
well,
ageism.
Two of them were definite sexism in the sense that they said they wanted a female. Because they were both kind of friends of mine or people that I knew in some way, who need flatmates. And I was like, well, hey. And they were like, no. Female flatmates. Not you.
Not you.
Yeah, we're doing an all girl flat thing. So the matriarchy is alive and well, people. It's alive and well. I was quite disappointed because one place was with some creative filmmaker people, and a very big, cool mansion. It seemed like it'd be a fun and inspiring, creative place to live. And I was thinking, that's exactly what I need. A bit more social, but it was a big room and it was cheaper than what I'm currently paying. And it was kind of like a big enough house that it was sort of far enough away from other people and stuff. So it was not too claustrophobic either. So, but anyway, unfortunately, this song of mine has held me back once again.
It's shortchanged you once again.
It's an evolutionary disadvantage, and it's a social disadvantage. This schlong.
Well, yes, but you did find a place?
No, I've looked at a couple of places.
Okay.
But I haven't given notice here yet.
Right.
So I'm not moving like right now, but I'm looking and I'm seeing what's going on. And so anyway, the idea was I told my flatmate maybe next payday, like next rent day, I might give official notice then, because basically all the places that are out there that people want, or that I would want, they're all available now, or they're available in 2 weeks, and I want to give my flatmate 4 weeks notice so that he's got plenty of time to find someone. And if I find someone sooner to take my room, well, cool. But if not, then he's got 4 weeks to get it sorted. And so I need to hurry up and give my notice, because in 2 weeks I might find a place that needs someone in 2 weeks.
Well,
but I'm looking at another one tomorrow as well, which looks quite promising.
Yep. Yeah, well, definitely a 37-year-old man. There's question marks.
Well, single, but look. Forget about 37 and single. What about the fact that I'm unemployed? What do you do? Well, in the old world, I was an in-demand freelancer working all the time, and I had a lot of work lined up for the rest of the year. I was also moving and shaking and creating things and attending events and screenings and doing stuff. Now I'm unemployed and just ask the local bar if they need me to pull pints for minimum wage.
Well, the funny thing is, if you were vetting flatmates, you would never
be like,
ever bring you in.
No, fuck him.
Absolutely
fuck
no
chance. Guy. He's not even working. He's not working. Like, what's he going to be doing all day? When he's here, right? I'm going to go to work. He's going to be here. I'm going to come home from work. He's going to fucking be here. His car's never going to move from the driveway. It's just going to sit there because he just does nothing all day. He's just in his room. He says he's building his empire, but he's just sitting there. I don't know what he's doing.
But he's had 3 months. He ain't built shit.
3 months. He's up to fuck all. He ain't built shit. He's built a fucking pillow fort. He built a big pillow fort and hid in it.
He's built a large wax, a melted wax mountain of garbage. That's what he's done. Yes.
No, well, you know what I did do? People coped in different ways with the lockdown. Okay, this is this is about our lives here, and so people coped in different ways. Some people bettered themselves. Yeah. Some people spent time with friends and family, or family rather, or whoever they were living with, their bubble. Me, I opted to take acid and read the Unabomber Manifesto over the course of several months.
Different strokes. And become a full-blown communist.
And become a full-blown communist. Yeah. I don't know if I'm a communist either. I'm trying to figure that out.
You're
I'm still
definitely not a
finding myself.
communist because you still want some of your freedoms,
No,
and also
no.
you
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
don't want to be put to work,
What I
and
here's
things you
what I
don't
want.
want.
I want a democratic world government. That's what I want. One democratic world government that has the authority to say the beach in Mission Bay in Wellington is artificial and it needs sand. Well, the Sahara has got an abundance of sand. So let's move the sand from the Sahara, and we'll put it in Mission Bay in Wellington, and everything will be dispersed as and where it is
Mm.
required. You
Feel
see?
like there's some
And
sand
so
closer by, but okay.
nobody will ever get hungry, you see,
Yeah.
like, because one place needs food and they don't have it, and one place has an abundance of food. Because the problem at the moment with all of our systems is that they're so inefficient. That's the problem. We could have billions more people here, but we're so inefficient. We throw away so much stuff, and we create useless shit and buy it and then just throw it away. So what we need is a worldwide government that can give us everything we need, and then we can concentrate on getting to outer space where we will rape and pillage amongst the stars. We will do what we've always done with Blade and Plague and everything else. Stealing is what we'll do.
Hmm. Yep. You've definitely taken a slightly unhinged turn if you really dissect
Listen to these rants.
these
If you
most
listen to
recent
these rants.
podcasts. But no, that's
Yeah.
good. Well, look, I
Yeah.
should just talk. I've only got one last thing to talk about, which is something quite serious, which is the
I could go all night with these
I
rants.
know, so we better ease off on those, pump the brakes a little bit. So, but what I should just sort of briefly mention is that my close personal friend Alex Savage is a wrestler. He's a professional wrestler, wrestles for IPW Wrestling here, among some other places. And there has most recently been a hashtag speaking out movement, which started on Twitter, which is pretty much the hashtag Me Too movement. But for wrestling. So where sort of some of these monsters have been revealed in filmmaking and to some degree dealt with, or some of them at least. The wrestling community has a seedy, dark underbelly of sort of abuse and sort of coercion, I suppose. But fundamentally, a lot of it is people abusing their positions of power. So sort of trainers taking advantage of trainees and making women feel unsafe and all sorts of horrible stuff. And it sort of just exploded. It was literally, it started from someone tweeting about someone else, a very successful wrestler who was actually an abuser, basically. And this then snowballed into other people sharing stories about that wrestler, and then a bit.
Well, why aren't you telling us who the wrestler is?
There's the thing. I'm not sure which wrestler it started with, but I will go in. But I will say because they're not. It's not Hulk Hogan, right? It's not Bret the Hitman Hart, right? But these people are very big stars of the independent. It started in the independent Brit wrestling scene. So British wrestling has sort of people the tier below WWE and some WWE performers were sort of implicated and accused, and and some had no sort of rebuttal, and some did, but most people look pretty bad. But among one of them was Travis Banks. So Travis Banks is a wrestler who wrestles for the WWE and for the independent British wrestling thing, and is a New Zealander, and is our probably most successful, next to the Bushwhackers, our most sort of successful New Zealand export.
What's his
Travis Banks, and he was sort of implicated in taking advantage of a female wrestler who he had a sort of a abusive relationship with, and took advantage of, and kind of abused the trainer-trainee thing. And then a whole bunch of other people came out and were like, yes, he's pretty bad, that these are the other things that he's done. I've been part of this as well, and there were but this is the thing. Like I say, it's like one person. It was like 50 to 100 people. You know, it just kept going and going over days and days, and then it spread from the people in the British wrestling scene to people in the American wrestling scene to people in the Australia wrestling scene to people in the New Zealand wrestling scene.
And that's when people started getting nervous around these parts.
I don't know what you're trying to imply, Harley.
That in New Zealand something had happened and that there was a story to be told.
Well,
here.
that's right. And, you know, New Zealand is certainly not blameless, or, you know, there's been clearly some cases, and a lot of the companies, including IPW, has had to reflect on some of these cases and what they've done wrong and where they can do better in the future, and who has to maybe not wrestle anymore.
And so some allegations have come out locally?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Allegations have come out everywhere, and definitely locally, and definitely within our company. And those have all had to be looked at and addressed. And sort of...
And so are they being addressed properly? You know, like, are they everything being like, are people taking it seriously and all that?
Absolutely. But I think this is also, you know, it is difficult.
So is it public? Is it public?
Well, no, like not in the sense, I mean, some people have tweeted publicly about certain things and certain people, you know, but in terms of how the company has dealt with it, they haven't been like, here's a list of potential people that we will never work with again.
Right.
It's just internally, you won't be seeing these people anymore. You don't need to know necessarily the details of why.
But they haven't released a statement saying why.
Well, like, they've released a statement saying these are the standards that we plan to uphold. This is our sort of policy on this, and this is how we look at things.
And these people are out.
But not specifically these people are out, no. Because there hasn't been anyone specifically...
Right, so there hasn't been a specific, like, an actual court case or anything like that. It's not like an official, like, people are doing like a legal...
No one has legally come forward to sort of open up a criminal investigation against anyone here. But to be honest, by the look of it, that has not really happened overseas. But, for instance, Travis Banks has been fired. So he has lost his contract, and several other wrestlers have also lost their contract with the WWE over these allegations. So it's a big paradigm shift within the industry, and a sort of a disappearance, hopefully, of the old boys club. And
well, I certainly hope so. You know, I certainly hope so, because it's my belief that we should really have an egalitarian society in which women feel comfortable in the same places that men do, or feel as equally uncomfortable in the same places that men feel equally uncomfortable, such as the workforce, because we need to have the biggest workforce possible for this worldwide government. So we can't have 50% of the population not feeling comfortable in the workplace. We need these people for the army of people who are going to build our space elevators and so on to get to space.
And we need a strong female wrestling scene as well.
Well, that's all part of it.
It shouldn't just be
the fight for egalitarianism, if that's a word.
So I just thought I would mention that, because it was a very huge story which kind of sent shockwaves through the entire industry. Because this is the thing, and I do think because a lot of people were very shocked about the people that were accused, the scope and scale of the abuse. You know. And just how far-reaching it was. And I think that, you know, there is just, unfortunately, a tendency in human nature to abuse. Like, you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so, you know, these people are being put in position of power. The first thing they start to do is use that to their advantage in pretty terrible ways. And you know, it's that sort of Michael Jackson thing of like, hey, I'm the king of pop, I'm the king of the world. I can literally do anything. So now I indulge in terrible things but I can, because of of
get
that
away with it.
position that I'm in. And so, hopefully it'll lead to, a sort of a shift and a lot less of that happening. And I'm sort of fully encouraging behind that. And yes, a lot of people were shocked. I wasn't that shocked. But it's a good thing for wrestling. It's a horrible thing that it has happened and that this has been going on for so long. But it's a very good thing that it's sort of come out in the open and people are talking about it, and people essentially are being called on this this abuse, which is really the key. So going forward, hopefully wrestling is going to be a better place in much the same way that the film industry has become probably a slightly better place. Thanks to some of these people being
it's all progress. It's all progress, people.
Yeah,
and it's good work.
Yeah,
it's good work. Okay, all right. Well, I did just want to tell one last quick tale on one segment, Buzz on Bumble. Bzz. Which was that some time ago, just a few weeks ago, I matched with a 26-year-old.
Yeah, boy.
And we chatted for a little bit, just chit chat, nothing special. But she appeared, she was an attractive person, and she said, I said, like, what are you into? What do you do? Sort of thing. We were talking about that type of stuff. And she was like, my dream is simple: earn money and buy a house. I'm very materialistic, so I've been told, and I'm absolutely proud of it. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah. Could you it's one of those sentences that immediately makes your penis shrivel up into nothing and just really disappear.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. So I replied, because we were talking, she said about buying a house and stuff. I said, cool. Well, I'm interested in buying a house. This is something that, a potential romantic partner and I could have in common, house buying, I said, well, I'm interested in buying a house. But then regarding the materialism thing, I said, but I'm not materialistic at all. In my humble opinion, materialism creates a fake and short-lived happiness. So... And to which she retaliated, well, if you're not materialistic, then why are you buying a house?
Touche.
In acknowledgement, though, I riposted, in order to generate passive revenue from it, right? The goal is to be able to pursue my own ambitions. Having a rental property set up as an investment will give me some financial freedom. That's why. So that I can pursue my goals, because the goal is to have time to pursue my personal ambitions and enjoy my life, of which I believe you only get one. And that's what I said. And then I said, what kind of scientist are you? Because she was she mentioned that. No reply. So that was where that ended.
You shut her down.
But materialism,
you
gross.
You gaslighted her materialism, and she did not appreciate it.
I like to think, though, that a little kernel of reality snuck into her brain, and she's going to be like, this handbag and shit is actually worthless. This useless handbag that cost $3,000, it's actually worthless. It doesn't do anything.
Well, the weird thing is, the thing about materialism is that there's always something else. So whenever you get,
short-lived happiness.
Whenever you get that one thing, you go, cool, I got that. I'm looking at that.
I'm happy for a while.
But cool, I've done it. I've got it. I've clocked it. So what next? What next?
What's next?
It never ends.
Exactly.
Never ends.
It never ends. Exactly. So, and it does also suggest that you're the type of person that that values material things more than, say, people. If you say you are materialistic and proud, you're saying you're proud of valuing material things. And that certainly suggests, though doesn't overtly say, that you suggest that you value material things more than people, perhaps, and relationships or whatever, So that's certainly the what I get, the connotations I get from saying you're materialistic. To me, that says that you don't care about people, that you care about money, and that you just want to get that cheddar and live that life, and that's what's important to you, which I find unattractive.
Yeah, well, you can't take it with you.
Can't take it with you. Can't take all these memories with you either, but at least you can enjoy that shit.
You go, likewise, you can take nothing else with you that you would potentially accumulate incentive material things. So that argument is slightly flawed.
Yeah. It's really just the difference between living in a comfortable house or not. And she'll be in a comfortable house.
Won't be.
And I'll have all these shitty memories of me being in cold flats.
Yeah. Well, look, the flip side of that, you know, it is nice to be comfortable. It is nice to live in.
Well, you got to walk the line. You got to walk the line. What you want to reach is a place where you're comfortable, but you can still do the things you like, so you don't bite off too much.
But yeah, well, that's interesting. I would have probably said I would have said something like you would have said, probably, for sure.
Yeah. Good. So I'm not on my own.
No, I would have definitely chimed in on that one.
You would have called that one out.
Bullshit on that.
That one. Yeah. All right, good. Well, that seems like a pretty good place to leave it then. So in agreeance, we can leave the show. And so, unless you have anything you want to add?
No, that's it, dog.
Cool. All right. Well, facebook.com/GuyAndHarley if you'd like to go and follow us on Facebook. That will keep you posted over there. Patreon.com and search for Pigville. Patreon.com/Pigville. Pigville. Yep.
Also, I will just quickly apologize to anyone watching on the live stream if it's been a little choppy. It's because I forgot to plug the Ethernet cable in. I noticed a couple of choppy bits, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good." We've dropped 4,124 frames versus 0 last time. So I do apologize for that.
Sorry.
I sort of realized an hour and 15 minutes in, I was like, hey, this plug is going nowhere. Well, we're in it now.
Well, I did think about it, but I was like, oh, maybe I'm imagining it, and I wasn't watching close enough. Oh, there goes my camera. I've got to figure out how to make that not go to sleep. All right. So anyway, patreon.com/Pigville. Go and support us there if you can. That would be really grateful. We'd be really grateful. If you got PayPal, the email address you need is pigvilleproductions@gmail.com, and you can contribute to the beer fund or whatever you want. You can buy us a beer, you can buy us a coffee, you can contribute. And that's it. Hit subscribe, hit like. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.